A couple weeks ago, I got a DM from a gentleman on Instagram who was looking to start a YouTube channel. I get messages like this maybe every month or so saying, Caleb, I am thinking about starting a channel, have been thinking about it for a few months now. I was just reaching out to know, do you have any advice for someone who is just starting out? And so I gave him the response that I will always give messages like these, and I said, the biggest obstacle that you're going to face early on in this journey is not gaining knowledge, it's getting started. So I'll tell you what, go out there, make 20 terrible videos, post them to your channel, get in a rhythm of it, establish a foundation, then come back to me and I'll do a full channel audit and tell you a bunch of things that you specifically can improve. And the unfortunate truth is I've probably sent a few dozen of these messages out in response to DMs over the years. And you know how many people have actually gotten back to me? One. A single channel in my 6-year lifetime on the platform. Shout out to Doshi Got Deals. He's still making videos to this day. But the first mistake that I wanted to share with you guys that is bound to sink your resale or YouTube business is procrastinating the simple action that you know you need to take and calling it research or perfectionism. I'm not sure who it is that needs to hear this today, but what's going to stop you from achieving your goals, especially in the initial phases of starting a business, is not a lack of knowledge, it's a lack of courage. I'm sure many of you at this point have heard the parable of the pots, in which two pottery classes at the same time were given two different sets of instructions to gain mastery over pottery. The first one, the instructor told them, your only assignment for the whole semester is to make the best pot you possibly can. And the second class was instructed to just make as many pots as they possibly could. And the unexpected outcome of this experiment was that class number 2 not only made more pots, but they also ended up making better pots, purely because what contributes primarily to the ability to make good pots, and also, spoiler alert, to make good YouTube videos and to build good businesses, is the volume itself. It is the quantity. Sometimes another thing that people will ask me on the YouTube side, Caleb, where do you fall on the whole quality versus quantity debate? And my answer is, if you're just starting, if you are anywhere really short of intermediate to expert, there is no dichotomy there. Quantity is quality. Quantity, putting in the reps, getting up the listings on your selling platform, getting up videos onto your channel, whatever it looks like in your business, the volume is the answer. Over the course of the last 6 years, I can't remember which shelf these were on. Over the course of the last 6 years, one of the things I'm most proud about is that the time between when I become convinced that something is a good idea and the time that I take action over time has shrunk and shrunk and shrunk, to the point where when I was coming up with Quick Flips, which at the time I thought was going to be a video game price checking app, the time that it took for me to go from having the idea and becoming convinced that it was a good idea to getting mock-ups down on paper and hiring both a design and branding team and a software team to actually build the thing was 1 month. 1 month I did all of those things, when early on in my career, I probably would have pontificated and gone back and forth and had a bunch of conversations and, gotten stuck in the whole business plan phase for, 2 years. I'm sure many of you have heard it said that perfection is the enemy of progress. And that's something that I've come to believe very deeply, to the point where I would actually say every YouTube video that I put out is only about 80% as good as it theoretically could be. Now, different people will find their sort of golden percentage at different places, but the reason for that is that what I have found is, in making YouTube videos and also in different aspects of business, the final 10% might take 90% of the time. One business quote that I've been coming back to a lot in the last few weeks is that in business, there are no solutions, only trade-offs. And so one of the most strategic trade-offs that I've been willing to make with my videos is sacrificing that last 10 or 20%, even with the knowledge that, yeah, theoretically, maybe we could go in and we could color correct everything and it would look that 10% nicer, or we could do captions, you know, like some fancy captions on the bottom for the first couple minutes of the video, and that would probably inch up our retention a little bit. But coming to peace with the reality that done is better than perfect is what has allowed me to continue to execute videos on a relatively high level while still also building other things that are really important to me. Mistake number 2 that will absolutely kill your resale business is sitting on stale inventory. The scary truth that I have come to realize over the course of the last 6 years dealing with more and more other resale businesses is that the vast majority of resellers don't have the liquid cash necessary to take advantage of a $5,000 deal, even if it was the deal of a lifetime. Now, you may be asking, Caleb, what does the amount of liquid cash that you have on hand have to do with sitting on stale inventory? And to answer that question, we're going to take a little bit of a field trip here. But the reality that I have found in doing tons of deals over the years with other local resellers is that almost all of them tend to be very inventory rich, but cash poor. By the way, this is a little section of the basement that I'm not sure you guys have seen yet, our little fancy desk space with our whiteboard with a bunch of quarterly metrics like the corporate sellouts that we are. But I wanted to come over to this corner of the basement for you guys to confess to you a little bit my own stale inventory sins. These stacks of games, for example, are all defective games, which we have been waiting for literally months to somehow wholesale out to people who either want to like try to get them working themselves. These have all been resurfaced once or twice and are still at this point not working. So we need to sell these in bulk either to some disc doctor that is going to hopefully bring them back to life, or someone who just wants to use the cases and manuals to like complete games. We are going to be selling this kind of stuff for pennies on the dollar. But we've got 2 very large stacks of, I don't know if you can see the sticky note up here, not working games that we have just been sitting on that have been collecting dust. On top of that, we've got all of these Pokemon frames. These are the last like 6 of a lot of, 100 of these that I bought at one point. We've got this empty 2DS XL box. We've got a bunch of actually pretty high-end, these ones haven't been in here that long, pretty high-end N64 games here that have been sitting on the side that can't go to Amazon. And the reason that I bring all of this stuff up is it's really easy to justify procrastinating doing anything with this kind of inventory. It doesn't really fit well with our business model. Selling it would be a little bit more of a chore, a little bit more of a hassle than we would really like for multiple reasons, whether it's condition issues or item type issues or whatever. And so because of that, it sits and it collects dust in these inventory bins for a long time. Now, here's the difference between our business and a lot of the businesses that I have dealt with is we can kind of afford to sit on that much cash for a while. Now it probably is $3,000 to $4,000 worth of stuff, which is certainly nothing to sneeze at, but it's nothing compared to the much more pressing inventory that we have on our shelves out here that is a higher priority. But the problem that I see a lot of resellers get into is neglecting that shelf for extended periods to the point that their death pile, the inventory, for us it's games, for other people it might be clothes or hats or jackets or watches or pots and pans or hard goods, their death pile slowly starts to turn into a death mountain of either unlisted inventory or stuff that is listed but they probably never should have bought in the first place, and so it doesn't sell, it just collects dust. And the thing is, there are multiple problems with sitting on too much stale inventory like that. The first one is just the clutter and the chaos, and the fact that the bigger that death pile starts to grow, the easier it starts to get to procrastinate it and just put it off. But the second really important thing, and the reason that I bring up this whole cash flow issue, is that all of that unlisted inventory, all of that stale death pile stuff represents unrealized cash, and it keeps you cash flow poor. The crazy thing is, most of the resellers that I've spoken to that don't have the cash on hand to take advantage of an expensive but really good bulk deal if it were to come along, is that they also have entire shelves, entire closets, entire rooms full of death pile unlisted stale inventory that they're just sitting on. And the more that I look back and analyze the history and the success of this business, the more that I realize that my ability, my discontent with sitting on lots of unlisted value and my obsession with selling things quickly and getting stuff out the door as soon as possible is one of the biggest superpowers that has allowed us to continue to scale over these last 5 or so years. Now, if you are someone who is in the video game or collectibles space specifically, and you're hearing this and you're thinking, oh man, I've got a shelf that looks like that. Well, maybe not that has 5 copies of Diddy Kong Racing DS. This would be hopefully pretty easy to list. But if you've got shelves in your life of games that have not, for whatever reason, gotten listed or have not gotten sold, that is the entire reason that I created myquickflips.com. If you are looking at some things that you have bought in the past and realizing, I would really like to turn those into cash, whether it is items that you've bought for resale or for your collection or whatever, we would love to do business with you. MyQuickFlips.com is the single best way to get fair, fast cash for your video games. So if you're someone who's taken a look at your shelves and thinking, oh, those are getting a little bit too full, or taking a look at your bankroll and thinking that's getting a little bit too empty, we would love to do business with you through MyQuickFlips.com. Now, the third mistake that you can make in your resale business that will absolutely 100% kill it is counting the other guy's money. What do I mean by that? This is something that I've been thinking about a ton as we've been expanding the wholesale portion of our business model, where we take a lot of the inventory that we get in that doesn't work on Amazon and we just sell it in bulk to other kinds of video game vendors around the country. This box of stuff right here, we pay between $3 and $6 for. It's worth between like 10 and 20 bucks in terms of price charting value. And here's the crazy thing, I'm almost sure that what we're selling this for in bulk is $7 to $8 a piece. Now, a lot of you are probably hearing that and thinking, Caleb, well, what gives? Like, you're selling something that could theoretically be, you know, 12, 15, a $20 item, and you're selling it for 7 or 8 bucks a piece? Aren't you leaving money on the table? Like, why would you let someone else get all of that profit? Because what I'm thinking about on my end is my cost basis for this item is on average maybe like $4.50. So even if I'm only making like $2.50, if I'm able to do it literally 100 times in a row in one shipment, suddenly that's actually a pretty good deal for the kinds of inventory that I really didn't want to get in the first place. Because I will tell you guys from experience, as a primarily Amazon-based seller, that is the platform that we're most trying to optimize right now. And if we weren't doing everything that we can to move this stuff out in bulk and keep our inventory clean and our cash flow positive, guess what's going to happen with all of these games? This is where it comes full circle. Suddenly, this box starts to become an entire shelf of stuff that we're just putting off because it doesn't fit on Amazon. Oh, one day I'll be able to, I don't want to leave money on the table, so one day I'll start the eBay account back up. One day we'll have another whatnot show, we'll have another blah, 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 and we won't leave money on the table. So I'm just gonna hold on to it for now and watch this box become a shelf, and watch the shelf become a room, and watch the room slowly start to take over this entire business, and all of this cash in the form of games is going to be completely illiquid and not serving me that entire time. Folks, if you do this long enough to become really good at getting tons and tons of inventory, you don't have to get all of the money for it if someone else is going to be able to take headaches off of your plate and keep your cash flow healthy for you. So when I say don't count the other guy's money, what I mean is if Greg, my wholesale partner, comes to me and was like, dude, that copy of Ghost that you sold me for $7, I got $29 for it in my store because it happens to be a high demand title. What I'm going to say is not, oh shucks, I left so much money on the table. What am I doing in my business? What I'm going to say is, Greg, good for you, dude. I am so happy. Guess what? I bet you're really excited for the next wholesale batch I'm gonna send you, aren't you? We can both make each other a lot of money. And also, by the way, next time I'm in town, you're buying Chipotle, buddy. Now, folks, don't get me wrong. We're still trying to, within reason, be as profitable as we can. If another wholesale buyer comes along and says, hey, for this category of goods, I can give you $9 a piece, we're gonna take it. But I unfortunately just know so many resellers out there who are just, whoa, the whole table just shifted on me, that are so scared of leaving money on the table that they will hold on tight to inventory for just as long as it takes to get every single penny out of it. And by that time, they've had to pass up on so many opportunities because all of their cash flow is tied up in inventory that they're just white knuckling, because the reality is they're probably not all that good at going out and sourcing it again, which is the skill set that they actually usually need to be honing rather than the skill set of getting every single dime for every single unit of inventory. And for anyone who has done me the good grace of sticking around this far, I've got a bonus mistake for you, which is not knowing what you're optimizing for. I heard this incredible quote that has stuck in my head for the last 6 months, which is, in business, you can build a lifestyle or you can build an empire, but you cannot have both. If you don't know what you're optimizing for, you're going to take actions that lead you down the wrong path.